Today's topic, 8 ways to achieve financial success as a new attendee. It is a very exciting time because you are about to get your first big kid paycheck. So we love this phase. This is a very common phase of when new clients are joining us. We're going to cover 8 important topics here. All of these should almost be stacked on top of each other. It's not, pick a few. A lot of these should all be built into your plan in some capacity. We're going to walk through things like budgeting, to investing, to insurance. There's a lot of important parts here that should really form that foundation of your financial plan as a new attending physician. So stay tuned. Those are all coming up next. First up, develop an insurance plan to protect your assets. Your biggest asset right now, your ability to wake up and go to work every day. How do we protect that? Disability insurance. So I'm going to look at this in 2 ways. Either you already have disability insurance. If so, make sure you have good disability insurance. So making sure it's good true ONOC policy. And then from there, you likely got lower limits while you were in training. So at this point, your goal is to increase that policy to match your new income. Ideally, when you got that policy in place, they had something called a guaranteed insurability rider, and then this way you can add in these benefits without any health questions. If you do not have disability insurance yet, you need to go get disability insurance. So again, you're looking for a true ONOC disability policy. You're making sure that it covers your current income. A good independent insurance broker will be able to help you with this process. Next up would be life insurance. If someone is relying on your income, you need life insurance. If someone co-signed on your student loans, you need life insurance. If you just want to lock in your insurability while you're young and healthy, you need life insurance. The key here is you're looking for term life insurance. Do not let the salesperson sell you permanent life insurance. I will die on that hill. You need term life insurance. Don't do anything else. Next up would be the umbrella policy. If you're not familiar with this term, just think of it as extra liability insurance. This is an important one for really everyone, but more in particular for our physicians because you just get that extra target on your back by being a physician. So look to add umbrella policy. Your goal is to always cover your net worth. We say at this phase, your net worth is probably not $1 million yet, but always insure up to $1 million. So start with $1 million. Once you go over $1 million, increase that number. But you're looking to add this on top of your auto and your homeowner's insurance. Just contact your property and casualty insurance agent, ask them for a quote on an umbrella policy. Usually they say it's about $250 per year for around $1 million of coverage. That can change based on areas, driving history, things like that. Last but not least, one that's probably not in complete control of yours, but make sure that you do have proper medical malpractice in place. Again, if you're coming from the side of academic medicine, this is likely all built in. If you are coming from the private side, making sure that they have that in place for you as well. If you're doing any type of side work, any type of side gig, just make sure that your current policy also covers that as well in terms of medical malpractice. Obviously, the other slam dunks, got to have health insurance, make sure you're having good dental insurance, vision insurance if you need that. And then on top of that, you could be also looking for any other types of insurance coverages that could help you. Really, the big ones here are going to be homeowners insurance or renters insurance, plug in renters insurance here too, and then auto insurance. So make sure you have the proper insurance foundation at this phase. Next up, revise your investment strategy. More or less, just make sure you update your long-term investment plan based on what accounts you have available to you now. You're in your new spot now. You're probably going to have a whole new set of investment options. Maybe it's a 401k, maybe it's a 403b, maybe they also offer you a 457b plan. You want to make sure that you are taking full advantage of these accounts. And also, this is a good time to do some spring cleaning. If you have some older 403bs through your train, or if you have an older Roth IRA that you got set up somewhere, this is a good time to do some spring cleaning, get things organized, get everything on a unified strategy. But the main takeaway here is make sure you understand what new investment opportunities you have in terms of what HR is going to provide in terms of benefit structure. Take full advantage of those, and then also clean up any other investments that may have been started in the past and get some of those consolidated to have a good unified strategy going forward. Make a tax plan. Tax planning is much more efficient when it is proactive. The one note we always get from our W-2 physicians is, what can I really do in terms of tax planning? There's still a lot you can do. Maybe it's as simple as maxing out the 401k or the 403b. Also added that 457b plan. On the 457b plan, always make sure you know if it's a government or non-government 457b plan. Do they offer dependent care? Is it a dependent care FSA or even a healthcare FSA? Do they offer some form of a high deductible health plan that makes sense for you and your family that you can put money into an HSA? There's still a lot of tax planning that can be had even on a W-2 salary. So make sure that you're putting a plan in place. If you have 1099 income, you kind of get this whole new world that opens up. Maybe it's a solo K. The one that's quite often missed is if you are getting that 1099 income, make sure you're preparing to pay quarterly taxes. Because remember, 1099 income does not have any taxes withheld. But the main goal here is making sure that you're working with a good accountant. Most accountants are reactive. In their defense, they're not going to be proactive unless you reach out to them, usually outside of their busy time, to walk through maybe some more proactive tax planning strategies, or make sure you're finding yourself a good financial planner that can also help you work on these things and then also collaborate with your CPA, your tax accountant there. So build a tax plan and make sure that you are being proactive on the tax side. Number 4, create a debt management system. This is not going to be for student loans. I'm actually going to cover student loans next. This is more or less referring to something that we see quite often is through those training years where some bad debt may accumulate. Maybe it was a personal loan, maybe it's credit card debt, whatever it would be. The goal here is to build a system, right? You're going to get this huge jump in your salary. Let's get rid of this bad debt. So make it a plan, whether you're going to go after the highest interest rates first, or maybe you're going to go after the lowest balance first. These are just two different types of debt snowballs we refer to them as. But the key is build a plan, get those out of your way, and then never let them come back into your life, right? If you get those credit cards paid off, make sure going forward every month you can get those paid off. But don't just sweep them under the rug. Don't assume that they're just going to go away someday. They're not. They're just going to keep accruing interest and get even more and more worse on you. So make sure you take some time to build a plan and then get that debt out of your way. Student loans. Probably the number one topic that we start with our new attending physicians, because now it gets real, right? We actually have to start paying these back. Ideally, we were paying them already while we were in training, but now we can really go after them. So I always look at this in two ways. Route one, we're either going for public service loan forgiveness at this point, where if that's the case, we're still looking at a few things. Are you in the proper income-driven repayment plan? Are there ways that we can lower that payment by either changing payment plans or just being more proactive on the tax planning side and lowering your adjusted gross income or your AGI? Make sure that you're at a qualified employer. Make sure you're not only certifying your income, you're certifying your payments every year. But route one, I would say, is a little bit easier. For going for PSLF, let's just make sure we're doing it appropriately and following all the rules. And then route two is where things probably start to crank up. So if you're not going for PSLF, you're going to keep them away from PSLF and go for more aggressive payoff. This is where we want to get things organized. Let's see if there's maybe some lower rates out there. Maybe there is a good opportunity to refinance to get lower rates. I cannot say this enough. Remember that when you move your loans from federal loans to private, there is no undo button. You cannot fix that. So before you ever move from federal to private loans, make sure there is no chance that you're ever going to come back to try to go for PSLF. So if you go to private practice for 2 years, you hate it, you want to go back into the academic route, we can't undo that one, which is why we also tell a lot of our physicians to maybe hang out for a year. Even if we have a little bit higher rate on the federal loan side, it keeps you agile there. So main goal here is to have a student loan plan in place. Usually the main two we're always looking at is, are we going for PSLF or are we going for more aggressive payoff? But regardless, have a good plan in place for those student loans. Form an estate plan. That's right. With that big kid paycheck comes big kid responsibilities. Here's what you're looking for in your basic package of estate documents. You're looking for your will, you're looking for a living will, financial power of attorney, medical power of attorney. Depending on what state you live in, you could also bring in some form of a living trust here. It really just depends on how the probate process works in that state. But please take the time to get an estate plan in place. This is even more important for anyone that has children as well. This is where we're going to list guardians in some of these documents. So form an estate plan. And if things go according to plan, you're probably going to have these in place even before your parents. So make sure you get that estate plan in place. Budget like you're a resident. I know, you're thinking, I want to go spend this money. And we're all for that. But make sure you're putting some guardrails in place here. So we love the idea of continuing to live like a resident, which Dr. Dolly, the White Coat Investor, has always preached this one as well. You're going to free it up, obviously. We know that you're going to have a multiple increase of your salary. The main takeaway here should be that we just want you to continue to budget. Tell your money where to go. Try to practice what we call the top-down approach, where you're telling the money to go to the most important things at the top so that you don't have to micromanage the bottom part of the budget where we really consider that your discretionary. I like to joke and call it my Starbucks indicator or my Chick-fil-A indicator, where you're not really worried about those small details in there because you've already paid the expenses, utilities, you maxed out the 401k, backdoor Roth is looking good, the HSA is full now, emergency fund looks healthy, and then that bottom part, we're just not worried about nitpicking that. So the key takeaway here is the longer you can continue continue to live like you were on your resident salary, it's only going to give you a bigger head start here. But I would rather at least take the time to build that budget and then continue to follow a budget going forward. It's just one of those things that no one really loves to do, but it is so vital for your long-term success to continue to maintain a budget and keep an eye on how that money is flowing in and out from a household perspective. Last but not least, live the life that you love. And really, this is my main shout out to work-life balance, because you, out of any of the professions that I think are out there, physicians in particular need to have a good work-life balance, because if you get burnout, we are in serious trouble in a lot of different ways. So make sure that you are building a life that you want to live and love in terms of work-life balance, hobbies, family, children, call schedule, right? Make sure that you are setting your parameters from a work perspective. Do not let work tell you how you're going to live. So please focus on this more than anything, because this is one of those areas where, whether we want to call it mental health or just long-term well-being, we want to spend time on building this one up. So build the life that you love. And there you have it. 8 ways to achieve financial success as a new attending physician. Again, such an exciting time. This is one of the areas where we can just hear the excitement when these clients call in for their icebreaker call. They're so eager to get started. They're so eager for that big kid paycheck to come in. And as I noted at the start of the video, these aren't 8 that you really want to pick and choose. In some fashion, you want to have all 8 of these in your financial foundation. You want to build around a lot of these. So I hope that you got a lot of good takeaways from this. I hope this helps you on your financial journey. As always, thanks for hanging out and tuning into this video. If you have not subscribed, now would be a great time to subscribe. If you click on this little bell icon, you also get a notification every time we put a new video out. Thanks again, and I will see you on the next video.